Welcome to the Sage Thought Leadership Podcast, transforming the way people think and work so their organizations can thrive. Well, hi, everyone, and welcome to our podcast. I'm Ed Kless, and with me today are two of my Sage colleagues, Fred Figueiredo and Bron Dorrofield. His personal mission is to bring each other closer, people closer. Workwise, and he specialized in mentoring and coaching organizations to accelerate the pace of business innovation. At Sage, he is the co-founder of the Continuous Innovation Community, a volunteer-based movement designed to create a thriving community of Sage colleagues who are excited to create meaningful and innovative around the business. Bron's passion is both personally and professionally is engaging with people, making most of the experiences and taking the learnings from these and doing what she can to make a difference to others. Welcome to the Sage Thought Leadership Podcast, Fred and Bron.
Thanks, Ed.
Thank you, Ed.
Well, let's start with Fred. Fred, why do you do what you do?
At the end of the day, because it makes me feel good. It is in my life purpose to bring people together, to enable them to go beyond their expected potential, let's say, or achieve their potential. And it makes me feel amazing. And I've been doing it since I had the conscious and I even understood what this is all about. It's just been part of my life from the beginning. And yeah, I love it. No other reason.
And Bron, why do you do what you do?
For me, it's about always learning, collaborating with others, and giving of my best to be able to make a difference to others.
And tell me, I'm going to start with Fred again. What's this thing, the Continuous Innovation Community at Sage? Tell me a little bit about that.
It's a thing. It's a thing, and it's a movement. So it started as a movement about a year and a half back, actually almost 2 years now. There was an idea of an executive here at Sage that she believed that we could bring colleagues of innovation, colleagues of Sage together around the topic of innovation. Back then, innovation wasn't really the most exciting thing at Sage. There was actually a lot of irony and a lot of negative emotions that would corrupt the understanding of innovation or how innovation was being used. And so we kind of used that as an opportunity, as a leverage to start speaking with our colleagues and understand what was working, but above all, what were the barriers for innovation at that time. Little by little, as we were having these conversations, we start meeting our additional co-founders, if you want, or early adopters. You start meeting the people that love what you love and believe in what you believe. And little by little, we start formalizing and creating a little bit what we today call the continuous innovation community, right? And we were, myself and Bron, when we started. Today, we are 1,000 colleagues all over Sage. 50 of them are what we call continuous innovation champions, and they contribute between 5 to 20% of their time voluntarily to help our mission of empowering Sage colleagues to change our culture so that our customers and colleagues can thrive and business can thrive. So it's today still a movement, and because it's getting a lot of excitement around our executives, we are starting to think about what happens if we formalize rather than being a movement, being something more strategic for Sage. And this is the stage that we are today, and quite exciting, I would argue.
And Bron, tell your story. How did you get involved with this?
Well, for me, it all started with the big conversation that we had at Sage about 2 years ago. And we were a like-minded group of people started talking about innovation and what we could do to make a difference within Sage and shift the mindset around innovation. And I think the big thing for me was the cross-functional, cross-global collaboration between colleagues, all sharing a similar passion, but coming from different perspectives within the business. And I think for me, the biggest thing is it's what you put in and you get 10 times out because of all the learnings and sometimes unlearnings that we've gone through in this space. So it's really been an awesome experience to go through.
Well, Bron, talk a little bit about what are some of the outcomes that you have seen personally and maybe for the business as well.
Yeah, sure. So I think one of the big outcomes has been a workshop that we put together called 10X. and it's become a way of working for a lot of our colleagues at Sage. And this 10x Innovation Growth course basically uses the design thinking principles to ideate within the business, to experiment and to start experimenting more. What we've seen in line with some of our other strategic pillars being customer success is how we can empathize with the customer more. And there's been various different examples around the business where colleagues have started using this. One of the latest being our new ways of working that's been discussed within Sage, and giving colleagues more flexibility by having empathy of what it is that colleagues are wanting to do and how they're wanting to work.
Fred, expand on that a little bit. What are some of the things that you've seen as a result?
Above all, I've seen that Sage colleagues that didn't really believe that innovation was possible, they are starting to believe. You can see a lot of energy and a lot of positivity around the opportunity to innovate. You see more people interested in learning the skills and understanding the tools and the processes that helps us to innovate. And we see more and more leaders, not just our executive team, but anyone that manages a team, to our chief level, being excited about continuous innovation and not only attending 10x Innovation Growth, but also large-scale events that we've designed to bring all of Sage colleagues together, like our Continuous Innovation Day, which is a 3-hour event where we just talk about innovation with 200, 300, 400 people, whoever wants to join, including our customers. Right? You can see that both our customers and our partners are getting excited about this. They want to be part of continuous innovation. They want to understand 10x Innovation Growth as a mindset and as a tooling, and they want to take part in it. Right. So I would argue, I'm always more the person that would argument against the non-visible outcomes of this movement rather than the business ones, because I am a believer that this is a prerequisite for change to happen and to sustain across time. So that's why I'm so focused on seeing and so excited about all the engagement we're seeing across the board.
So what I'm hearing from you is that it's the mindset is one of the innovations in and of itself that you've seen happen. Is that correct?
Absolutely, absolutely. And you can see to Bron's point how that mindset is creating so many new opportunities at Sage in many different areas of the business. I think it was 2 or 3 weeks ago, we were with all of our legal function trying to help them see how the process of design thinking can help them operate better as a team. Tomorrow we have a session with over 30 colleagues from Sage from the finance department, which is a department that at the beginning in any organization tends to be very rigid and very linear in how they approach work. Right, so the fact that these people are coming and they are interested, it really shows that the mindset is changing, and therefore we will create unique opportunities as we continue to roll this across Sage.
Bron, anything to add about that mindset shift that you've seen?
Yeah, I think for me, it's a lot about the excitement of colleagues. And that's the encouraging thing, in the shift in mindset when people are starting to look first at what customers feel and what before just jumping to the problem, to the solution as opposed to the problem. I think that's something we all start to do, but you're starting to see people step back, start asking the questions and start engaging more with customers. And then starting to go through that ideation process, which you can then validate with customers as well. Which is really exciting to see. And I think we'll all see the outcomes and the benefits of that, both the customers and colleagues alike.
Well, we have an exit question that we ask all of our guests on the Sage Thought Leadership podcast. And I'll start with you, Bron, since we're talking. Who is a hero of yours and why are they a hero?
Yeah, to me, to be truly South African, I'd say Nelson Mandela. Just the impact that he had on our country and the great leader that he was and the example he showed for all of us, putting aside differences. That's one of my key inspirations.
Fred, what about you? Who's a hero of yours and why?
I would say Paulo Coelho. He's a Brazilian author, a book writer. He wrote one of the best books for me ever. It's called The Alchemist, which tells the story of a young man that has a dream and then the journey of finding that dream. And the reason is because it just resonates with me so much. And Paulo Coelho's life journey, is a reflection, or the books that he writes is a reflection of his own personal journey. And I find that someone that walks the talk, he's a hero of mine.
And Fred, how can somebody contact you?
Well, so easiest way would be probably to LinkedIn, just Fred Figueiredo. You find me there and you send me a message. Or if you want, you can just drop me an email in fredfigueiredo@gmail.com and we'll chat.
Fred, spell Figueiredo.
Figueiredo, my God, not even I can spell it well. Figuieredo @gmail.com.
And Bron, how can somebody contact you?
So also available on LinkedIn, bronwyn.dorrofield. Contact me on my Sage email address. It's bronwyn.dorrofield@sage.com. And Dorrofield is DORROFIELD.
All right, Bron, Fred, thanks so much for being guests on the Sage Thought Leadership Podcast.
Thanks for having us, Ed.
Inviting us.
Review and subscribe by searching your podcast player of choice for Sage Thought Leadership Podcast.